Everything you perceive as reality is actually responding to you. This is not a metaphor. It's not spiritual fluff. It's not about the law of attraction. This is quantum reality, the part no one ever taught you. When you awaken to this truth, you realize the world around you is constantly reconfiguring itself based on your inner state, your emotions, focus, and energy. Yet most people go through life believing they're just reacting to whatever life throws at them, as if existence is a script already written. It's not. Reality isn't fixed, it's fluid. It moves with probability, not certainty, and your energy shifts those probabilities in every moment, subtly, invisibly, but powerfully. This isn't about wishful thinking or sticking photos on a vision board hoping for wealth and success. Your energy field is real. It's like a blueprint, a living code that the universe reads and responds to instantly. Once you understand how to direct that code, you stop playing the game and start shaping it. This is the art of moving energy to trigger quantum shifts. No hype, no distractions. Most people try to change their lives by changing external things, chasing outcomes, adjusting strategies, obsessing over plans. But here's the truth, the outside is just the echo. The real shift begins in the invisible world, your energy field. That's where reality starts. Not in your planner, not on your to-do list, not in a spreadsheet, but in the frequency you're broadcasting every second of your life. Everything in this universe is energy vibrating at different frequencies. That's not new age talk, it's physics. But no one ever told us your personal energy isn't just a reflection of your mood or health. It's a signal, a transmission, and reality is listening. You continuously transmit data into the quantum field, which subsequently returns a response. That phenomenon is referred to as life. Each result, every turn of events, and every serendipity serves just as feedback. When your energy is fragmented and you harbor fear, uncertainty, guilt, or shame, you alter the surrounding field. Your inconsistent messages create a reflection of confusion in reality. This is why you may progress 5 steps forward, yet ultimately regress 10 steps back. It is not due to your indolence or misfortune. Your misalignment was the cause. You were transmitting noise rather than a signal. However, once you attain clarity in your energies, life begins to coalesce into coherence. Individuals arrive. Opportunities arise. The route becomes unobstructed. Many are unaware that energy is subject to programming. Your focus, emotional state, and aim resemble a code. Consider things from this perspective. If you were a frequency, what type of melody would reality currently be performing? To compose, dispersed, frantic, potent. You do not attract that which you desire. Your essence draws like entities. That is the fundamental principle governing manifestation. Not mere wishful thinking or enforced optimism, but genuine resonance. This explains why 2 individuals can enter the identical circumstance and perceive quite distinct worlds. Identical universe, identical room, entirely diverse outcomes due to differing frequencies. Upon entering, one is grounded, coherent, and clear, causing the room to shift. The other enters apprehensive, disjointed, and uncertain, receiving no response. Reality does not yield to desperation. It reacts to authority, not dominion over others, but mastery over oneself. Regulation of your internal signal. Herein lies the profundity. Your nervous system functions as an antenna. The heart generates an electromagnetic field that can be measured several feet beyond the body. Your brain waves vary according to your focus. These concepts are not mystical. They are quantifiable phenomena. Nevertheless, no one instructs you on their utilization. Your emotional state is akin to adjusting a dial to access an alternate universe. Prolonged adherence to a singular frequency results in the surrounding environment aligning with it. Not due to wizardry, but because you have achieved magnetic compatibility with a new time frame. Certain aspects of our forthcoming discussion, particularly the interaction between consciousness and probability, are too delicate for platforms of our nature. Subscribe to our complimentary newsletter, Insights Academy, using the link below to have immediate access to an in-depth analysis along with a free digital edition of the Kybalion for a limited duration. This is not about feigning a positive demeanor. It pertains to dynamic authenticity, acknowledging your current state, and subsequently altering it with accuracy. Energy is unequivocal and truth is non-negotiable. You are either in a state of coherence or you are not. You are either transmitting a consistent signal or responding to interference. What is the most astonishing aspect you have experienced that moment when everything aligned? When you refrained from pursuit, events unfolded naturally. You failed to comprehend, yet everything materialized. That was not just chance. That constituted alignment. You momentarily attuned to the frequency where your desires already manifested. You are not present to manipulate your way into harmony. You are here to acknowledge that reality is perpetually attentive to your thoughts. The sole inquiry is, what do you convey in silence? We have been conditioned to perceive life as an entity to observe, quantify, and react to. However, quantum physics fundamentally challenged that notion long ago. It conveyed a disturbing truth, one that remains largely incomprehensible to the majority. The act of observation alters the observed entity, not symbolically, but literally. When a particle is undetected, it exists in a state of potentiality. It exists ubiquitously, and yet is absent simultaneously, a nebulous array of possibilities. However, the instant an observer directs their attention, the particle assumes its definitive position. It selects a spot. It transforms into a definitive entity. The spectator, the individual observing, is the cause thereof. Now extend that concept into your existence. Each instance you perceive your world through fear, expectation, hope, or judgment, you are diminishing probabilities. Your attention is active. It is a sculptor. You are not merely perceiving reality. Your perception shapes it, and more significantly, the energy underneath that perception. This is the point at which it transitions from the abstract to the personal. Your expectations serve as a roadmap, not due of superstition, but rather because of energetic physics. Entering a scenario with the preconceived notion of impending rejection inadvertently diminishes the likelihood of acceptance. As you navigate the world with a mindset of never obtaining what you desire, the universe perceives your sentiment. It detects the signal. It does not engage in argumentation. It simply corresponds. It lacks emotional content. It is mathematical. Your energy determines the spectrum of results accessible to you, not due to punishment or examination, but because the field is responsive. It reacts. Herein is the aspect that eludes most individuals. Your conscious mind may desire change, although your subconscious beliefs frequently dictate perception. If you fundamentally perceive yourself as unworthy, unprepared, or incompetent, that is the energy you emanate. Even if you are vocalizing affirmations, that exemplifies the observer influence in your existence. Your frequency is perceiving the field with a predisposition. This prejudice is shaping the reality you experience. The cosmos does not provide what you desire. It mirrors your expectations. Expectations are grounded in identity. You may express a desire for freedom, although do you anticipate hardship? Are you perceiving the world through the prism of previous suffering? Your unhealed previous experiences serve as the lens through which you perceive every new opportunity. The lens distorts reality prior to any interaction. However, this is where the potency manifests. The lens can be altered, the frequency can be altered. By training yourself to maintain a new state consistently and for an extended duration, the field begins to respond in a different manner. Outcomes need not be compelled when you align with them. Discussions regarding attraction sometimes misconstrue the concept as merely drawing objects towards oneself. It pertains to harmonizing with what has been previously situated in an alternative energetic realm. This cannot be feigned. Deception of the field is impossible. It distinguishes between superficial optimism and genuine conviction. Perfection is unnecessary, yet consistency is essential. When your energy, attention, and internal dialogue align, transformation occurs. That is the moment you cease responding to life and begin to mold it. Not by means of exertion or endeavor, but by virtue of one's status. What is the most extreme aspect of all? You have already accomplished it. Numerous occasions. There are instances when everything converges perfectly, the appropriate individual contacts you, an opportunity presents itself, and the solution emerges prior to your inquiry. You failed to accomplish it. You have matched it. You transformed into an observer who no longer harbored skepticism, but instead embraced trust, ceasing resistance and embracing acceptance. And reality shifted. That was not a coincidence. That was physics, and you were the impetus behind it. You have experienced it previously. That unsettling feeling that an occurrence beyond mere coincidence is transpiring. You contemplate somebody and they contact you. You pursue an instinct which directs you to an unforeseen door. By altering an internal aspect, your surroundings transform without the necessity of verbal expression. These moments do not arise from enchantment. They originate from resonance, entanglement, and a more profound layer of reality that science is only beginning to comprehend, although you have encountered it repeatedly. Quantum entanglement is one of the most perplexing phenomena we understand. Two particles once interconnected remain bound irrespective of distance. Alter the condition of one and the other reacts immediately. Space and time are inapplicable. Separation appears to be an illusion on some level. However, what is seldom addressed is that this concept extends beyond particles. It encompasses individuals' instances, chronologies, and yourself. By altering your internal state, elevating your frequency, dismantling an outdated notion, or alleviating emotional burdens, you are not merely transforming your inner world. You are also modifying the surrounding field. You are interconnected with every possible iteration of yourself, each existing on a distinct timeline. The majority of individuals transition between many versions of themselves, unknowingly influenced by anxiety, habitual patterns, or unresolved trauma. However, when you deliberately alter your energy, you change trajectories. You exit one cycle and enter another. In that transition, you start to engage with a reality that aligns with your new frequency. This explains why synchronicities appear to increase during phases of development. They are not arbitrary, they constitute feedback. These are indications that the field has detected your new frequency and is beginning to mirror it back to you. You did not bring forth the call, the meeting, or the unforeseen turn of events. You attracted it by resonance. It was already present, intertwined with your greater potential, merely awaiting your ascension into harmony with it. However, here lies the disconcerting reality. Synchronicities operate in both directions. If you are ensnared by fear, diminished self-esteem, or scarcity, the environment reacts accordingly. It is not penalizing you, it is reflecting you. Have you observed how adverse circumstances tend to accumulate when one is in a negative situation? One annoyance begets another. Inappropriate individuals appear. The day descends into chaos. That is not misfortune. That exemplifies energy entanglement in practice. You are aligned to a specific frequency, and the field corresponds accordingly. Not in an emotional sense, but in a quantitative context. You are perpetually intertwined with alternate versions of your existence that you have yet to encounter. Certain instances are extraordinary. Certain individuals are stagnant. The version you encounter is contingent upon your location. One cannot feign competence to attain better positions. You must assimilate into their identity. One must embody the emotions, lucidity, and trust that would prevail if one were actually inhabiting that version of their timeline. Once you transition internally, the external environment reacts accordingly. Not immediately, but inevitably. Reflect on instances when you had complete immersion, when you experienced a sense of buoyancy, harmony, and clarity. The individuals, the assets, the moment. Everything functioned seamlessly. That was not a mere coincidence. That exhibited accuracy. This provided an insight into life when one aligns energetically with their destined reality. What is the most advantageous aspect? Synchronicity is not exclusive to a select few. The universe is not exhibiting favoritism. It is mandated by law. It pertains to mechanics. It addresses every one of us impartially. Is your transmission producing noise? Are you transmitting a signal upon achieving clarity and relinquishing burdens? Coherence is attained, prompting a response from the field, not involving fireworks, without drama. However, there is a subtle, incontrovertible, and inexorable transformation. The majority of individuals believe that reality responds to their activities, efforts, choices, and utterances. However, that represents but a portion of the overall context, and not the most potent aspect. The profound reality is as follows. Your internal condition is reflected in reality. Never, not at a convenient time, consistently. The world does not react to your expressed desires. It reacts to your identity. Your identity is shaped by your predominant frequency, energy, emotional tone, and self-concept. If your life appears chaotic, unclear, or stagnant, it is not due to the cosmos being adversarial. The signal you are transmitting is ambiguous. You are relocating, performing, exerting force. However, behind the surface there exists doubt, anxiety, and a sense of unworthiness. You are expressing a desire for success. However, I do not believe I am well prepared for broadcasting. You are expressing a desire for love. However, I tremble, fearing visibility. Reality reflects that, not because to its judgment, but because it is precise. This cosmos is constructed upon resonance. You attain what you embody, not what you desire. It is an unvarnished reality initially. It necessitates ceasing the attribution of blame to external circumstances. Cease attributing fault to time. Cease attributing fault to others. However, it is also emancipating. It reinstates control to you. If your reality serves as a reflection, altering the reflection is unnecessary. It is necessary to alter the source. The source is invariably internal. This is why attempting to modify outcomes through control typically results in adverse consequences. You are manipulating external factors, however, the fundamental signal remains unchanged. The field exhibits resistance. It flexes, but not completely. It provides just fragments rather than a whole sustenance. Consequently, exertion devoid of alignment appears to be exhausting. You are attempting to manipulate reality via sheer willpower rather than resonance. When the signal is clear and your energy and intention are harmonized, effort becomes efficient. Engage in minimal effort to achieve greater results. Due to the absence of resistance in the field, you are attuned. Emotional hygiene is one of the most neglected aspects of this matter. Individuals fixate on productivity and performance, yet overlook the most crucial aspect of their day, their internal calibration. One cannot establish coherence in the world while experiencing internal disorder. Many individuals harbor resentments from the previous week, phobias from their upbringing, and narratives from others. Each unresolved emotional burden constitutes a distortion in your vibration. It generates static electricity. Static blocks indicate. Purifying your energies does not include feigning positivity. It signifies honesty, accepting the present circumstances, relinquishing what does not belong to you, and consciously deciding how you wish to feel prior to external influences providing justification. That constitutes genuine power. When you cease to depend on external circumstances to influence your internal state, you alter the narrative. First, you evoke the emotion, you possess the state. Subsequently, reality ensues. You have likely encountered this. Days when all systems functioned seamlessly. You exhibited a sense of levity, gratitude, and tranquility. Life reciprocated accordingly, not due to any actions you took, but because of your inherent differences. You refrained from micromanaging. Your grasp was insufficient. You deviated from clarity. Clarity is captivating. This feedback loop is perpetually active. Each interaction serves as a reflection. Every result is a reaction. The essential principle is to cease reacting and commence internal responding. When an external stimulus provokes you, refrain from pursuing the trigger. Inquire about what it reveals regarding your own discipline. Is it requesting your alignment to liberate, to escalate? If you disregard the lesson, the cycle persists. However, altering the pattern results in an update to the external world, occasionally at a gradual pace, occasionally in a moment, however consistently with accuracy. Reality requires no persuasion. It merely requires alignment. You do not advocate for alignment. You embody it. You allow the field to complete the task. Prior to your opportunity to intentionally influence your world, another individual began to mold it on your behalf. You were born with an unblemished receptive frequency, instinctive, inquisitive, complementary. However, the transmission was soon disrupted. The world instructed you to conform, maintain realism, avoid posing excessive inquiries. It conveyed that success is derived from diligent effort, that value is contingent upon validation, and that security is achieved through becoming inconspicuous. Unbeknownst to you, you assimilated it, not alone in your intellect, but also in your body, your energy, and your subconscious. The default script was installed prematurely. That script continues to operate in the background of the majority of individuals' lives. It transcends merely influencing your beliefs. It is influencing what you transmit. This explains why diligent effort might nonetheless result in a sense of stagnation. Reasons for establishing goals and subsequently undermining them. You are not defective. You have been conditioned to exist reactively rather than creatively. The majority of individuals are inadvertently creating an undesirable existence influenced by frequencies they did not select. This is not your responsibility. You were trained. From educational institutions that valued rote memory over creativity to societal structures that esteem conformity over intuition. You were conditioned to conform, not to distinguish yourself. You were instructed to adhere to the program. However, the program does not benefit you. It benefits the system. It is designed to ensure predictability, compliance, and ease of management, not due to malevolence, lethargy, or unworthiness, but because it is the mechanism by which the system perpetuates itself. By adhering to that default script, your energy becomes ensnared in another's narrative. Here is the crux. The quantum field is indifferent to the origin of the signal. Regardless of whether you espouse a position due to genuine conviction or inherited ideology, the outcome remains unchanged. The field demonstrates it. If your energy is still influenced by past fears, unsolved traumas, or obsolete beliefs about your identity or possibilities, the environment will consistently manifest circumstances that align with those conditions. You will experience a repetitive cycle, diverse visages, identical patterns, diverse locations, identical sentiment, until you disrupt it. Awareness constitutes a flaw inside the system. As soon as you become aware of the script, you commence the process of rewriting it. The most potent method to do this is not solely cerebral, it is also kinetic. You alter your frequency, causing the entire operating system to disintegrate. You cease providing input to the loop. You commence generation from a novel location. However, this segment may appear disorganized. The ego resists reconfiguration. The body opposes transformation. Your instinct will compel you to revert to the familiar, even if that familiarity has constrained you. This elucidates why energy work is indispensable. It is imperative. One cannot supersede the program through mere contemplation. One must embody something novel. It is essential to instruct your nervous system on the sensations of freedom, empowerment, and safety in your own self. You must remain in that state sufficiently long for the field to recalibrate around you. This does not pertain to exerting more effort. It pertains to maintaining the new frequency while the old one attempts to revert you. That is the true examination. Can you maintain alignment when your surroundings do not yet mirror it? Can you consistently select the enhanced version of yourself prior to external validation? Many individuals fail to recognize this fact. The field does not dictate, you do. It adheres to your energy, not your objectives. These are not your words. Your vitality. When your energy transitions from victimhood to authorship and from doubt to embodiment, all dynamics begin to progress. Appropriate individuals arrive. The appropriate routes reveal themselves. What was formerly deemed unattainable now is evident. However, this occurs just when you cease adhering to the prescribed narrative and begin to embody the inherent signal you were destined to convey. You require no correction, you require deprogramming. Once the obsolete code is eliminated, nothing remains between you and the reality you were destined to manifest. You have been instructed to articulate using language to convey meaning through sentences and vocalizations. However, the universe does not heed words. It responds to energy. To influence reality at a quantum level, one must begin to articulate in its comprehensible language, not alone with intention, but also with condition. Your state represents your authentic voice. It is not the content of your speech. Your identity is revealed in your expression. That is the response of the field. That is the interpretation of the quantum fabric of existence. At this moment, it is attentive. Your thoughts are significant only inasmuch as they influence your emotional resonance. A thought resembles a spark, although emotion imparts weight and depth to it. If you contemplate abundance while experiencing feelings of unworthiness, the field will resonate with the more dominant signal. It is invariably the emotionally charged individual. This is the reason many individuals encounter difficulties with manifestation. They concentrate on affirmations, rituals, and mental clarity. Nonetheless, their energetic basis remains tethered to fear. The output is disordered, the message is convoluted, and the quantum field mirrors that distortion accordingly. Energy is unequivocal. One may feign a smile, simulate confidence, and counterfeit success. However, one's frequency reveals the reality. That truth is reflected by the universe. To control your exterior environment, you must first manage your interior landscape. This entails regulating your nervous system, mastering your respiration, selecting your focus, and grounding yourself in the emotions that align with the life you aspire to lead. Not at some future time, but now. Not if all proceeds favorably, irrespective of appearances. By cultivating thankfulness in the absence of justification, clarity, without evidence, and tranquility prior to results, one becomes inherently magnetic. Not due to your manipulation of the system, but because you are ultimately articulating its language. You are no longer anticipating a transformation in reality to enhance your well-being. Your decision to improve your emotional state compels reality to transform accordingly. This does not constitute spiritual bypassing. It is frequency leadership. It requires discipline. Your breath serves as a gateway. The majority of individuals breathe involuntarily, exhibiting shallow and constricted patterns. This maintains the body in a state of survival. By regulating your breath, slowing, deepening, and establishing a rhythm, you communicate to your system that you are secure. Safety becomes the cornerstone of power. A controlled neural system can sustain elevated frequencies. It can maintain clarity. It can generate without succumbing to uncertainty. Mastering your breath enhances your access to the present moment. The present instant is the locus of all power. Focus is an additional instrument and one of the most improperly utilized. Where attention is directed, energy is expended. However, the attention of the majority is usurped through applications, through dread. In contrast, dispersed concentration diminishes your domain. A dispersed field transmits ambiguous signals into the quantum realm. To achieve precise results, one requires precise energy. This entails selecting your concentration with utmost seriousness, as it is crucial to your energetic well-being. Furthermore, there exists feeling, the amplifier, the transmitter. The emotion you select determines the tone of your communication to the audience. Are you communicating with assurance or with a sense of limitation? In bravery or in uncertainty? In certainty or in despair? The field does not evaluate, but it does align. It consistently corresponds. Your responsibility is not to pursue the result. It is to sustain the transmission, to maintain the emotional state of the reality you are manifesting long enough for the field to align. Consistent practice eliminates the need for coercion. Reality commences its response prior to your action. Concepts emerge more rapidly. Individuals arrive at the opportune moment. Timelines converge, not due to the manipulation of life, but rather because you are in alignment with it. You are not exerting pressure, you are inviting. The universe recognizes the distinction. Each instant conveys a message. Each breath, thought, and emotion constitutes a line of code. The field is perpetually attentive, not based on your words, but on your essence. To communicate with the quantum realm, cease vociferating your aspirations into the abyss. Convey them with your demeanor, restrict them with your respiration, and perceive them with such lucidity that the universe is compelled to respond. Numerous iterations of your life already exist, not in theory nor in fiction, but in actuality at the quantum level. Diverse timelines yield varied results, all poised for selection. The essential factor that facilitates their unlocking is neither time, effort, nor fortune. It is frequency. Your energetic condition serves as the determinant. It determines which version of you materializes and which remain latent inside the realm of potential. One does not inadvertently arrive at their destiny. You concur with it. Individuals discuss fate as if it is immutable, as though there exists a singular trajectory and all events are preordained. However, that is merely a comforting illusion. The truth is more challenging to accept and far more empowering. Each alteration in your internal state results in a change in your trajectory. Altering your energy transcends just changes in your emotional state. You are altering the version of reality that interacts with you. It is not figurative. It is mechanical. You adjust to a new signal, and the field starts to organize itself around that signal. The individuals, the prospects, the obstacles, the coincidences, everything of it adjusts according to what you are projecting. This elucidates the profound impact of identity work. Your self-perception constitutes the basis of your frequency. Perceiving oneself as a survivor entails that life continually presents challenges to overcome. If you perceive yourself as perpetually lagging, life continually presents you with clocks. If you perceive yourself as an outsider existence, perpetuates a reality in which you do not belong. The transformation occurs when you cease to perceive your present situation as evidence of your identity and begin to regard it as a manifestation of your past self. The past established this frequency, however, the future alters when you modify it. The error that many individuals commit is postponing the alteration of their energy until they receive validation. They seek the job offer prior to attaining security, the relationship, before experiencing love and success, before recognizing their worth. However, that is not the operational framework of the field. Reality does not provide justification for emotions. It reflects your persistent emotions. If you await authorization to manifest your next evolution, you will remain in perpetual anticipation. Timelines are impervious to hope. They react to embodiment. A version of you exists that possesses what you seek. Not in a distant dream, but in a timeline intertwined with the version of you prepared to live as if it is already a reality. That constitutes the paradox. One must become prior to receiving. You experience it prior to its manifestation. You maintain the frequency prior to the manifestation of proof. The longer you maintain it, the more tangible it becomes. Each timeline possesses a frequency spectrum. If your energy does not align with that range, you cannot access it. It resembles attempting to access a radio station without the appropriate frequency. One experiences static distortion and noise. You are geographically close, yet not synchronized. The music remains silent. That is the manner in which the majority of individuals exist, adjacent to their desires, yet perpetually outside of them. They are aligned in concept, yet divergent in energy. This is what individuals refer to when discussing quantum jumps. Bypassing identities rather than omitting stages. Opting to embody the version of yourself that is devoid of doubt, hesitation, and the consideration of diminished potential. It is not hubris. It is vibrant lucidity. That clarity becomes compelling. Reality commences to align. Tasks that previously were insurmountable become effortless, not due to their transformation, but because of your own evolution. You have previously experienced similar moments, instances of complete alignment when everything fell into place, resulting in an unanticipated reconfiguration of your environment. That was not just chance. This was a fleeting insight into a chronology that has perpetually been awaiting your prolonged presence to inhabit it. The inquiry is no longer, what do I desire? The fundamental inquiry is, what must I transform into to attain that experience? Upon addressing it not verbally but through energy, you will no longer need to pursue the timeline. You will embody the vibration that attracts it. You have been instructed to seek answers externally, for verification, to obtain authorization, for energy. The system was intentionally designed in that manner. If you perpetually pursue the next guru method or solution, you will fail to recognize that the source of transformation has resided within you all along. However, the reality is as follows. The majority of individuals will refrain from disclosing information as they derive little benefit from doing so. You are the origin, not the instrument, not the method. You. The quantum field does not react to crystals, mantras, or vision boards. It reacts to coherence, for clarity, to the version of yourself that possesses complete self-awareness and remains unperturbed. When you cease exporting your power and begin acknowledging that your energy is the driving force, everything transforms. Cease awaiting a sign and transform into the signal. You cease efforts to attract and commence alignment. That is the moment you relinquish the illusion of being insignificant, constrained, or passively awaiting life's decisions. You were never intended to be selected. You were present to make a selection. A tremendous transformation occurs when you completely embody this concept. Your energy fluctuates indeed. Your posture, presence, and judgments also contribute significantly. You cease inquiring, what actions should I undertake? Commence inquiring, who am I evolving into? You cease to act out of desperation and begin to act from inner authority. You cease to react to external situations and instead responding to your internal alignment. Individuals perceive it. Reality perceives it. The field modifies. This pertains neither to ego nor to unreasoned self-assurance. It pertains to resonance. When you possess your energy, your movements are distinct, not due to a facade of strength, but because you recall that you have always possessed it. In that recollection, you cease to use energy on uncertainty, comparison, and anticipation. You cease to require validation when you become your own proof. Each instance you disregard your intuition to conform. Each occasion you diminish yourself to maintain harmony, and each time you forsake your knowledge for the solace of the familiar, you diminish your vibrational frequency. With the passage of time, one tends to forget the potency of their signal in the past. However, that power remained intact. It became dormant, concealed beneath years of fear, conditioning, and diversion. It is presently ascending. A supplementary blueprint is unnecessary. You must recover what is rightfully yours. Another step-by-step system is unnecessary. Embrace the version of yourself that has faith the subsequent step will manifest after you achieve alignment. This is the operational mechanism of the field. It does not provide the complete map. It provides the subsequent breadcrumb. However, this occurs solely when your energy aligns with the version of yourself prepared to embark on that journey. This elucidates why rituals, doctrines, and philosophies possess inherent limitations. They are valuable instruments. However, they are not the origin. You exist. Your breath serves as the portal. Your condition conveys the message. Your concentration is on the lever. You are not present to adhere to ideologies. Your purpose is to embody truth. The reality is as follows. Your reality awaits your initiative, not vice versa. You were never intended to be a passive spectator of transformation. You were intended to be the catalyst for it, not by coercion, not under control. However, from embodied alignment, that is the essence of mastery. Imperfection, however, presence, the capacity to remain anchored in one's identity, regardless of the challenges life presents. To react from your core, not your injuries. To direct your energies prior to the world providing justification. Upon completely embracing that, the dynamics of the situation transform. You cease to adhere to their regulations, recognizing that the field is indifferent to such constraints. It is concerned with your frequency. When that frequency asserts, I recall my identity, everything in your vicinity begins to recollect as well. There exists a point when all concepts transition from theory to practice, a juncture at which one transitions from information gathering to practical application. That is the juncture at which genuine transformation occurs. You have observed the patterns, you have experienced the energy. You comprehend that reality is not immutable, it is liquid. Each day with every breath, you are either reinforcing an existing frequency or selecting a new one. The decision is now yours, not in an academic manner, with vigor. This is the point at which the majority of individuals falter. They await assurance. They await confirmation from another party regarding their readiness. However, that confirmation is never received. Only you can authenticate your alignment. You have been conditioned to believe that action yields outcomes. However, the knowledge you are acquiring now is more profound. The state generates results. When your state alters, the field must inevitably reflect it. The rules remain immutable, notwithstanding your understanding of them. They yield because you have transformed into a different individual. There is no necessity for further creation. One must conduct oneself as if the desired reality is already attentive, for it already is. Each action, thought, and emotional response either reinforces your previous chronology or establishes a new one. This does not constitute pressure, it is accuracy. You are not present to achieve perfection. Your purpose is to achieve alignment. Being aligned does not imply maintaining a positive demeanor continuously. It signifies integrity. It signifies controlled. It signifies sovereignty. It signifies the awareness of one's energy and the deliberate decision to channel it rather than allowing it to meander. Are you prepared to continually inhabit that space, not at a convenient time, not solely in meditation, however in traffic, during discussions, in determinations? When the bills are due and the future feels uncertain, can you still hold your signal? Can you stay centered when old patterns try to pull you back into confusion? That's where real transformation happens, not in ease, but in resistance. Because growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from friction. You're not here to argue with your past. You're here to shape your future, not by forcing outcomes, but by directing your energy. And real power doesn't scream. It doesn't push. It doesn't chase. It's calm. It's focused. It's unwavering. It's a presence that knows the field is already listening, already responding. To live this way is to claim your energy before the world tells you what it should be. It's choosing coherence in a chaotic world. It's placing intention above impulse clarity, above confusion and embodiment, above performance. It means walking into any room, any moment, any unknown space with a quiet confidence that you belong, because the version of you that carries this frequency already does. And if you're ready to live like that, start here. Subscribe to this channel, not because it's just another click, but because you're ready to remember who you are and to stay aligned with what matters. Because here's the part that rarely gets said: awakening is not an endpoint. It's a frequency. And every time you return to it, you shift deeper. Every time you choose it, reality becomes more fluid. It bends to your clarity like iron filings drawn to a magnet, not through force, but through resonance. Because when you remember who you are, the world remembers how to meet you. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about releasing everything that isn't you: the fear, the doubt, the noise, the hustle. All the static that once drowned out your own signal. You're not building power, you're revealing it. And when you live from that place, everything begins to change. If this message resonated with you, drop a comment, I get it. And don't forget to subscribe, because this frequency is just getting started.